Let's see.
Yes.
Yes, we
Just
are
started the
recording.
recording.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We'll be working with the compilation on Shamballa, and it's a lengthy compilation, and I think as we discuss the divine will, it will take, once we truly begin that, some, not just some months, but some years, I would think, because it's a huge subject. And monthly, we will have the attempted application of Shamballa energy to world issues regarding spiritual values, politics, social arrangements, and in general, the direction of humanity in alliance with the plan or not. So, we have to be humble about this subject because basically even a master cannot enter the halls of Shamballa at will. And maybe Chohans of the 6th degree can enter, and certain masters on the political side can enter. As for the rest of us, when we talk about Shamballa, it's kind of an exaggeration because we really don't even have access at will to the hierarchy. And yet we know that when there is an eclipse, there's a special relationship between the sun, and I'm talking about an eclipse of the sun where it shoots directly into the alignment of the moon and earth. When there is such an eclipse, there's a very powerful first ray energy, and in general, the first ray energy will be coming in when we have the new moon. And so the application of the higher purposeful process to the physical plane has an opportunity at that time, and especially we'll be watchful for the eclipse. And why is this? Because in a way, well, the earth itself is the base of the spine center for the solar logos. Now, there are many planets associated with the base of the spine, but for this great being, the solar logos, our earth is that center. And so when there is that alignment at the new moon, we have something that is more aligned with Shamballa than with the consciousness aspect at the time of the full moon. There is more of a second ray general feeling at the time of the full moon, and a empowerment at the time of the new moon if we know how to use it. Now, many people don't know how to use it, and it has the negative meaning of an eclipse, and many factors that we would rely upon are eclipsed at that point. But we'll take a different position. We'll look for the alignment of the solar logos and our lunar personality nature, and we, the disciple representing Earth, will be looking on and making our decision. So I think the thing to remember is the first ray impact wherever we may want to direct it, or into whatever ashramic process we may want to direct it. It's a higher type of use of the new moon energy. I just want to welcome you. Of course, here we have Michael Stacy and Michael Crow helping us. And Anne is, Nguyen is a co-host, and she's interpreting for the Vietnamese group. It's probably a reasonable hour for some of them. And welcoming then excuse me, Alana and Celeste, and Chuang and Connie, and Francois, and Georgina, and Hangdan, and Helen, and Ho Min Kwan. Let's see if I can get you all here. I'd like to just say hi, and Hoa, and Huang, Kan, and Jan, and Joe Waltz, who's also part of our communication team. Very grateful for what all the communication team does. And Catherine, Keith Valley, and Kanvu, and Kim, and Leon, Tran. We have a good representation of the Vietnamese group here. Myrna, and Miro, and Nicole, and Olivia, and Sandy, and Tia, and TU, and Walter. And just like to say that Olivia thought that sort of prompted this type of meeting based on a comment that I made about the Shamballa impact or the Shamballa presence at the new moon. But of course, the degree of accessibility depends on our group cohesion and the focus that we may have regarding what has to be done. Now, we're living in very troubled times at the moment, socially, economically, and in terms of our health. We have social unrest, and many bills are coming due. We have economic incapacity for so many people who are slipping through the cracks because they're losing their employment. And we have this pandemic which is raging in the world and outrageously raging within the United States due to irresponsibility. We also have a very important example in our election coming up to see whether the soul of any nation can overcome its powerful personality, because although the United States is slipping in many ways, unfortunately, in the eyes of others, it still sets an example, and that example will be for better or for worse. What I'd like to do here is I have a few little paragraphs on Shamballa, and I'd like to have us have these in mind. We're about an hour away from the new moon itself, just about an hour and 2 minutes or something like that. And that takes place at 2:41:31 GMT. But I'd like us to have in the back of our mind, or maybe in the forefront of our mind, some of these comments on a very obscure subject. We cannot at all glibly ever talk about Shamballa. We really, as the Tibetan constantly reminds us, do not know what the divine will is all about. We just don't know yet. But that will come into greater power as I think there is a constellation sort of behind Polaris, and Polaris itself has a monetic meaning. And during the Aquarian age, Aquarius and the energy of this sort of hidden constellation will be working through Shamballa. And the hierarchy is attempting more and more to contact Shamballa. And when it externalizes, however slowly that may be, it will bring to humanity a quality of divine will. The Christ himself is having multiple methods of reaching humanity, and one is through the will, not only through teaching and saving, but through presenting the will of God. And we have two extraplanetary beings, the avatar of synthesis on the first ray, and the spirit of peace connected with the Christ, more on the second ray, but both of them may be coming from inter-solar systemic sources, but not usually belonging per se to our planetary expression. They have linked up with our planet recently and will bring their great gifts of synthesis and peace. That's another word too, synthesis. You know, I mean, we have to be so careful in how we use that particular word, because, you know, it's not entirely clear to us. If we don't understand the will, we will not understand synthesis. And if we don't understand pure being, which I'm trying to help us all understand, and myself included, we will not understand synthesis. So anyway, those factors, that triangle, including the Buddha, representing the third ray, are surrounding the Christ, who's bringing the will of God, which is the will to good, which is so connected with love and wisdom, forward to humanity. And if ever we needed cooperation and loving understanding and loving will, we need it now, because selfishness is rearing its ugly head, and the personality demonstrations are all around us with no regard for what really is happening behind the scenes in terms of the divine plan. But we who know maybe a little bit about it have the obligation to present it as best we can with what limited understanding we have, and present it in such a way that people can begin to grasp its nature. A few little paragraphs here. And then, you know, we will have our meditation, and we will have some moments of silence around the time of the new moon. You know, you'll have to kind of do with my writing here. Tuya makes these things look beautiful, and I'm afraid I don't have that capacity. And we've been extremely busy right now. This is a very big day today, and we will have at 8 o'clock, we're going to have the, well, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, we're going to have further examination in the science of triangles, and then at 8 o'clock tonight, we'll have the Esoteric United Nations. If you want to join that, please do join us, and I think Michael will put in the link for you to join those two events. We're not going to do our usual Ask presentation. That's just too much. Okay, so from the, here we go with the definition. From the standpoint of true esotericism, I kind of, you know, adopt a little bit of a meditative attitude. Shambhala is a place of serene determination and of poised, quiescent will, as the old commentary expresses it. I'm just going to ponder a little bit here, because the peacefulness of Shambhala is remarkable. It is the one area of pure and perfect peace on our planet. Hierarchy is a great vortex of activity, we've been told, but peaceful, silent will reigns in Shambhala. Love eternal, light supernal, peaceful, silent will reigns in Shambhala. And the Christ has this quality of peace, forever unperturbed, forever unperturbed. He has achieved this balance of forces and energies, and is the great example to us to approach in group form. It's the only way we can do it, and only at certain times, the serene determination of the Lord of the world, and he is poised. There's that Libra quality, quiescent will. The road to Shambhala is very much a Libran road, connecting the base of the spine center, which is real here on Earth, with the sun representing the great head center of our solar system. And so all of this really moves the worlds. And it will, it is inviolable, and it will in time prevail. And the question is, can we attune to it in such a manner that it is meaningful to us and can be brought to people as God's will, God, our Lord of the world, our planetary logos, a different kind of will than is presented in the dogmatic religions that are so concrete-minded. So if you memorize those words, serene determination and of poised, quiescent will, and then think into them, feel into them. Will and being are not the same. Will is the first expression of being, and then love, and then intelligence. But we have to cultivate this will, and increasingly disciples will be asked to do that. And it will not be easy. Now, sometimes it's said that that Sanat Kumara is not on the Syrian line. And maybe this is true to a certain extent, but there are impressions from the great star Sirius that we have just, whose influence we have just completed celebrating at the Sirius Leo Festival. There are impacts from this great star whereon all evil as we know it has disappeared in the sunshine of the greater sun. We don't have a sacred planet yet, inwardly more so. We don't have a sacred solar system yet. But everything is on its way, and Sirius is very important. So, as it's telling here in From Telepathy and the Etheric Vehicle, the recipients of this impression are the highest members of the Great Council. This council is in Shamballa. Where is it located, really? And I would say the council is located on the highest planes. Let's see if I can do something here that will give us that indication. And I'm always, okay, well, now you should see it. And the council at Shamballa is located really on the logoic plane. Now, as far as what subplane and so forth, I guess we can imagine that Sanat Kumara himself is found on the very highest levels, and also a representation of the solar logos. So here beyond our monadic vehicle and the first Chohanic focus on pure being in a very liberated manner is even a greater state of liberation in the sea of fire, and there the council will be found. And the Christ and the Buddha are both members of that council. And to a certain extent, the other 4 shambolic planes are involved. And let's go back to the statement. The highest members, the recipients of the Syrian impression, are the highest members of the great council presided over by the Lord of the world. So subtle is this impression. Now, this should induce in us a certain sense of humility. So subtle is this impression that these great lives can only receive it with accuracy when the full joint conference of the entire council, when in full joint conference of the entire council, and also after due preparation. So there is, in fact, a Syrian component, even though later and elsewhere it tells us that Sanat Kumara is not on the Syrian line per se. The system of initiation upon our planet is induced by Shamballa and induced by Sirius. And we have to learn how to come in touch with this cosmic Christ energy coming to us from Sirius. It's a great will to good, and it passes through a planet called Isis, we call it that, which travels around the sun about once every 360 years, just the way our Earth revolves around the sun once every approximately 360 days. So there's a huge inner mechanism here, and just imagine that the entire council must be present to receive this energy, which basically brings the advancement of our planet and our solar logos. Now, just, what I'm trying to do here is for us to get a sense, just a little sense, of the exalted nature of Shamballa, because if we purport to be at all sensitive to divine purpose, we have to have a great respect and realize the essential inaccessibility of Shamballa to the likes of us. But purpose can come through to a degree, and we can be more representative of divine purpose than we usually imagine we can be. What about the membership of Shamballa? And a lot of these things, well, they're, from the big books where he deals with these very abstruse matters. So the next 2 are about the membership, and it gives us some sense of the exalted beings who find their place there. The 3 Buddhas of activity, who are also members of the Great Council, and they, of course, are in a way, the inspiration for all the triangles working again through Libra, interestingly, and through the Atmic plane, are expressions of the counterparts on cosmos of the energies latent in the 3 permanent atoms, or atomic triangle, in the 3 permanent atoms, in the 3 worlds of human endeavor. They They were planetary logi, and they are working under the spirit of sacrifice in a previous solar system. Imagine, they were planetary logi. And here they are assisting our planetary logos in their particularly intelligent role. They have a lot to do with the atomic plane, which is ruled by Libra. Libra, as you know, bringing in principally at first the third ray. Well, DK warns us about this analogy, but he gives it to us anyway. Who else? See, when we think of Shambhala, is it just a vague idea? Or can we actually begin to pinpoint under advisement what beings actually are there found? The 7 spirits before the throne of God are also members of the council. Those would be the 7 sacred planetary logi in our solar system. And each of them, now they are representatives of planetary logi themselves. So every planetary logos of a sacred kind has its representative within Shambhala. And we call them the 7 spirits before the throne. And these the planetary logi themselves are also a greater 7 spirits before the throne of the solar logos. When we think of Shambhala, we've got to think of the solar logos also, because we're told that Sanat Kumara is a direct disciple of the solar logos. And this means that this combination of love and will, which we are all trying to cultivate in these very hard times, it's a necessary combination, and we have to try to understand it in our own lives. So anyway, the 7 spirits before the throne of God, and these are not the same as the 3 Buddhas of activity and the 3 hidden esoteric Kumaras. They are planetary logoic representatives. They are also members of the council, and each of them is in close rapport and contact with one or other of the 7 sacred planets in our solar system, and can thus draw upon the energies which they embody. Now, you know, we're talking about very high beings here, and of which the human being is just like a little cell. The magnitude is so great that it dwarfs the magnitude of the masters themselves. They are aspiring to get some kind of understanding, and Master DK, how would we know otherwise, gives us some little inkling of the power of Shambhala in its various impacts, now more and more upon humanity. At least we have to be aware that the will of God is coming through. And hopefully humanity will find a way not to resist it so as to cause interventions which will be extremely destructive. He's warned us about the so-called religious war and, you know, other results which could delay the whole process. We don't want that, and we're working behind the scenes like we're working today to be practical about bringing things through that will help with the manifestation of the divine plan. And then here's another one of those references about, you know, who lives there, you know, who focuses there. This is from the Rays and Initiations, page 141 and 142. And we're talking now about the relatively high human initiate, that few of the great lives who form the group of the council chamber at Shamballa are now of greater advancement than he, because he's achieving the 5th and 6th initiation. The supernal 3. Okay, who are they? They are 3 esoteric Kumaras who hover above, as it were, Sanat Kumara, who is the 105th, I guess, Kumara, and 108 came from the Venus chain of the Earth globe, of the Earth scheme. So the esoteric Kumaras, the Radiant Seven, we've just talked about them. They are the spirits before the throne. The lives that embody the 49 fires. Now, we can look at 49 fires in their more material third aspect expression. There are also 49 spirits of darkness. They do not seem to be mentioned here. And the 49 of the Radiant Seven, you know, all sevens are subdivided. They are found there. So really, put it all together, you get about 147 of these various fires. 49, 49, 49. The Buddhas of activity, who are the counterpart of the three supernal Kumaras, and certain eternal spirits, you know, way, way beyond the level of human evolution, from such centers as of dynamic spiritual life, as Sirius, or from the constellation which at any one time forms the triangle with our sun and Sirius. What would that be? Would it be Procyon? Would it be Sirius, lesser dog, greater dog, and our particular solar logos? Well, we can let that go, except to say that they are representatives from Sirius, from another starry system, and from, you know, right here, our own sun. And a representative from Venus are of greater, far greater advancement. And these are the very highest beings that are found in Shambhala. And that's why as we approach them, it is just with utter humility. That has to be the foundation of anything we do. Otherwise, who is a member there? All initiates of the 6th degree, and a few of the masters who have undergone specialized training because they are upon the first ray of willpower. Not all, but a few, which is the ray conditioning Shambhala itself, form part of the Great Council. Many masters and Chohans, however, after serving upon the planet in various capacities, working with the law of evolution, they stay back, even as they are doing now, because Sanat Kumara needs them, pass out of our planetary life altogether. So, you know, we sometimes don't even know how to control our emotional body, or our physical body, or our mind. We have a lot of work to do in the control of the personality. That's where we are focused. And here is this exalted system of representation in the council chamber of Shambhala. And here's just a little thing that about the location of Shambhala, because there is such a thing, you know, it's kind of a Shangri-La. There's a reflection of Shambhala in the lower ethers, and people sometimes go to the Gobi Desert to see if they might find that Shambhala. Shambhala, where they dwell, exists in physical matter, that is systemic etheric matter. Let me be clear about that, if I can be. And this shows you, this here is the systemic physical matter. These 4 cosmic subplanes are cosmic etheric matter. And the real Shambhala exists here, and the reflection exists down here in the ethers. More and more will be visible to us because in the age of Aquarius, the ethers are going to receive a tremendous stimulation. And we will be able to have the equipment in the eye to really see. So, Shambhala, where these beings dwell, exists in physical matter, as do the Kumaras, a reflection. But it is a matter of the higher ethers of the physical plane. The ethers that are considered occult, truly occult, are ether number 1, atomic, ether number 2, subatomic. But it is the matter of the higher ethers of the physical plane, and only when man has developed etheric vision will the mystery lying beyond the Himalayas be revealed. Okay, these are some things to keep in mind, and when we do our work, Tuya and I have been planning it actually for some months on the many references about Shambhala. There will be very occult things to be grasped, and somehow maybe we'll be able to grasp some of them. Let's be humble about it. And now the meditation, and we have about a half hour before the moment of the new moon at 2:41:31, and we'll be thinking of the impact of divine will and the impact of divine purpose within the various areas of our troubled world that need attention, whether political, social, in the field of health, or the religious field. Certain of the fields are interplaying in, at times, an unwholesome manner. And we have to find a way to help correct situations which cannot be allowed to persist. So, there are 42 of us here right now. That's quite a number. It represents the vortices of fire that make a Chohan who can enter into Shambhala, even as a master is produced by 35 vortices of fire. So 42 is an important number, especially with our solar logos. So we get into meditative attitude. We withdraw our consciousness from the personality and its vehicles. And we enter deeply into the presence of the soul. And we try to feel ourselves established, not just as a soul in incarnation, which is something we also want to do, but as a soul on its own plane, on the higher mental plane. In the field of light, love and power, and sacrificial will, we attempt to establish ourselves. and we merge ourselves as a soul, at least imaginatively, into a deep sense of the group soul. And we imaginatively unite in soul with the spiritually minded people of the world, the men and women of goodwill, and also the members of the new group of world servers. Feel our heart center open. And maybe some sense of the heart in the head, because that, we are told, is an example of access to causal body consciousness, the heart in the head, and to higher areas as well. So all over the world, as this new moon moment approaches, there is hierarchical attention, and many are trying to bring the divine plan into manifestation according to their own abilities and their interests, and the ashrams in relation to which they are working. So there's a feeling of oneness among us, at least that, a feeling of being together as one being and with one consciousness, working in ways which are necessary to ground the divine will as the plan. Plan we can do something about, purpose we can perhaps access in group form at times. And we expand our imaginative awareness into the one soul of humanity, realizing there is really no my soul or thy soul. There's only the soul. And all the souls in humanity and the soul of humanity is all part of the one great over soul, as we're told in the third fundamental of the secret doctrine. We try to get the feeling of, through the heart center and the heart in the head, and the imagined causal egoic lotus presence, that naught is but me. Naught is but me. And that is a very inclusive mantram on the second ray. And we have to learn about that and make it real to ourselves. And then we imagine the great stream of antichoronic sevenfold light passing from the emotional body through the retained energies around the mental unit and into the spiritual triad. And even imaginatively moving towards the monad. All the seven colors are there for the different soul types. But together we use the indigo ray particularly and see the bridge colored by the indigo ray, the great synthetic ray of our solar system. And we ponder on its mantram, I see the greatest light. I see the greatest light. And we will sound the Om 3 times as we project through the indigo a beam of pure white light. So, we'll sound the Om and say to ourselves, I see the greatest light. That greatest light is from the place of unfettered enlightenment, and that is Shambhala itself. At least we imagine that somehow some of that light has descended. And we are subject to it. So something from the spiritual triad can descend via the group Antakarana. We need practice, of course, to build it properly. And with that comes the hierarchical energy. The members of the hierarchy are focused in the triad. That's their normal place of consciousness. And they're very close. And from that place, this serene determination, this poised, quiescent will, this unfettered enlightenment, we think about a description of Shambhala. We'll take some moments to ponder it. And this is how Shambhala should be imagined. Shambhala. It is a world of pure energy, of light and of directed force. It can be seen as streams of force and centers of force, all forming a pattern of consummate beauty, all potently invocative of the world of the soul and the world of phenomena. It therefore constitutes, in a very real sense, the world of causes and of initiation. So there is that description, and for a few moments, let us focus upon it and think about what that could mean to us as a group. Shambhala, a cosmic etheric phenomenon, and especially relating to the higher two cosmic subplanes, invoking and evoking our soul consciousness, invoking and evoking purposeful activity in line with divine purpose and expressing in time and space the divine plan. And the highest part of Shambhala is the sea of fire on the logoic plane, especially the etheric part of that logoic plane, where the council, the center of the great council, can be found. And this alignment with purpose, this is what we in group form try to achieve even in the tiniest bit. Some aspect of the plan may come through. And we can live, at least practically, a far more purposeful life. And maybe some inkling of the greater shambolic purpose will come to us, especially in group formation, from this world of consummate beauty, this world of pure energy, of light, and of directed force, seen as streams and centers of force, all forming a pattern of consummate beauty and all potently evocative of the world of the soul and the world of phenomena. There are many worlds of causes, but this is on the cosmic physical plane, the ultimate world of cause. So imagine our group here as a recipient of the energy of divine purpose. It will come in through the head center, through the heart in the head, through the heart center. And thinking of the new moon as a moment of power, when solar energies impress the lunar energies of the personality directly. Meditate along the line of the first ray expressed though expressed through love, wisdom, and intelligence. I'm going to meditate along the first ray line and ponder on situations in the world, in the fields of politics, very acute at the moment, religion, and economics, the departments of the three great lords who are automatically members of Shambhala. Ponder on situations in the world in the fields of politics, religion, and economics, which must be impressed and changed by the divine purpose, working lovingly and intelligently through the divine plan. And let us be, as a group, as open as may be possible to the energy of the divine purpose, working through the divine plan, and think of ways in which you can individually and through your group or groups aid esoterically in the expression of the divine purpose through the divine plan. Now, we're just 8 minutes away from the actual new moon, and I'm going to highlight this so it's easily seen. And we'll be in silence now until 2:41:31 a.m. GMT, another 8 minutes or so. So let's work together in the silence. I am that I am. Direct your spiritual energies towards the amelioration of situations found in one of the three major departments under, whether under the Manu, the Bodhisattva, the Christ, or the Mahachohan, the Master R. They're all interrelated. And visualize the positive changes that you would see taking place under the impression of divine purpose expressing as divine plan. And now we will sound the great invocation, visualizing light, love, and power, and human initiative, creating a new culture and civilization within the coming age of Aquarius. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Friends, I have an impression. I want us to stay with these high energies there's going to be a lot of discussion at the Esoteric United Nations tonight at 8 o'clock GMT. I don't want us right now to descend into issues that involve the concrete mind quite a bit. I want us to, since this is our first meditation in this series, I want us to stay with that. In 2 hours, I'll be back with some work with the science of triangles. But since Shamballa is so remote and the issues are so deep, that I would like to defer further discussion until later this evening. We're in the period of the new moon, and I want, if you can just stay with the idea of unfettered enlightenment, the divine purpose, which is to create a great station of light. I mean, that's one way of describing it. The work of the three great departments in hierarchy in which each one of us finds our place. Sorry for any interruption. That's what we're going to do. So I hope to see you a couple of times more today. And I do not wish to say anything else or to have anybody say anything else, but to stay with these Shamballa energies as much as we can. See you in 2 hours at the, let's see, how do we do that? I think it's simply the GoToWebinar meeting. And then in another 14 hours approximately, well, no, actually, it will be a bit more than that. It will be 8 o'clock p.m. GMT. Stay with it, think about it. We're going to inaugurate some kind of more meaningful Shambhallic approach. Many blessings, lots of love to everybody, and we will see you. Please, Michael, turn us off.